In this video, we're going to take a look at those annoying creaks, squeaks, and other noises that your recliner makes. I'll recommend where to start when troubleshooting noises. We'll also look at how it can be difficult to pinpoint some of them and why. Should you hire someone to track down recliner noises? I'll answer that question as well. And finally, you'll learn about my 90% rule that I've developed over the years regarding furniture noises. Let's get started. Furniture can be notorious for developing noises as it ages, especially recliners with all those moving parts. The one piece of furniture I hear the most complaints about is the rocker recliner. Those can sometimes be noise-making machines as they age. And when I tell customers that own them that it's unusual for an older rocker recliner to not make any noise, they often look surprised. But I'm not. I've seen brand new ones that are not quiet. Think about it. There's the movement of the reclining mechanism that's opening and closing the chair, along with the friction of the rocker base parts that are rubbing together and the motion of the entire chair as it moves back and forth while rocking. And as these chairs age, parts begin to wear, and the chair frame itself, along with wooden bases, will loosen up, sometimes giving us those wonderful creaking sounds. That's why it's unusual when older rocker recliners don't make any noise. Okay, I'm going to walk you through two different scenarios for troubleshooting, and the principle for both is the same, and that is to start looking for obvious problems where you're hearing the noise or noises. If you're hearing noises when you're rocking that sound like they're coming from the base, roll the chair over to check it out. Don't just look at it for a few seconds and decide you can't find anything wrong. Settle in, relax, and get ready to play detective. Look for obvious problems such as damaged or broken base parts, loose joints on wooden bases, loose fasteners, and that includes using the appropriate tool to check those fasteners to make sure they're tight. On rocking bases, look for rub marks on the outside of the base or inside of the arm frames on lazy boys. And also check those lazy boy rocker blocks and rocker springs to make sure they're not damaged, loose, or broken. On other brands, check where the rocking base attaches to the reclining mechanism to make sure it's firmly attached. And it doesn't hurt to do some careful probing as well. For example, if you see a slight separation at a joint on a wooden base, grab either side of that joint and try to put some stress on it to see if it may be looser than it looks. With reclining mechanism noises, remove the chair back and turn the bottom upside down so the mechanism is facing up. Next, remove any round swivel bases or other parts that obstruct your view of the entire mechanism. Now you can carefully operate the mechanism by opening and closing the footrest and looking and listening for problems. You're looking for bent, broken, rubbing, binding, loose, or missing parts. Again, take your time and settle in. Some issues will be obvious, others not so much. Compare the footrest extension scissors in the fully open position. If there's a bend in one, you'll likely catch it if you take the time to visually compare the two. Make sure the mechanism is firmly attached to the frame and base or rocker base. In both these scenarios, we're looking for obvious problems. If you take your time and are thorough, you'll likely find one or more issues that need to be addressed. Go ahead and take care of those by either repairing them yourself or hiring a repair tech, because you'll be doing necessary maintenance and repairs on your chair, and with a little luck, maybe resolve that pesky noise problem as well. Also, see the video called "Should You Lubricate Your Reclining Mechanism?" if your recliner is hard to open or it makes a squeaking noise when extending the footrest. So that's how some of these noises can be easily quieted or eliminated by addressing maintenance and repair issues. It's pretty straightforward. Now let's talk about noises that are far more difficult to track down. Sometimes furniture frames can transmit sounds, kind of like a music player creates sound, but you may hear it come out of a speaker at a different location. Sounds sometimes travel along frames and other parts in furniture, making it nearly impossible to find the source. You go to where you hear the sound, but you find nothing loose there and can't recreate the sound at that location. Trust me, you can spend many hours trying to find the source if you have a chair with this type of issue. Then there are sounds that completely fool you because they mimic other sounds. Here's one example. I was asked to take a look at a noisy recliner arm. When I leaned against the top of the arm, I heard what sounded to me like a creaking frame sound. Out of curiosity, I tried the opposite arm thinking it might be the way the frame is built, but the other arm was completely quiet. So to see what was going on, I had to strip the arm frame by removing the cover and padding, and when I did, I leaned on the arm again only to hear nothing. It was completely quiet. So again, I'm at the location of the noise, but I can't recreate it. Now, I'll admit my aggravation level was quite high on that day, and I had no patience. So I can't remember if I gave up at that point and just put the chair back together, or whether I tried laying the arm cover loosely over the frame and leaning on it again. Because in looking back at that now, I see the most likely culprit. If the frame itself was quiet, it most likely was the underside of the arm cover that was causing the noise against the top of the frame. And that noise sounded nothing like a sound that fabric would make. It sounded like wood creaking. This is what I like to call the misdirection. Since hindsight is 20/20, if I could go back to that repair, I would have installed a slip sheet, basically another layer of material that would lay between the top of the arm frame and the underside of the noisy arm cover, to act as a buffer to hopefully reduce or eliminate that noise. Hopefully this example gives you a better understanding of how difficult it can be to track down some of these furniture noises. So now it's time for my 90% rule. If you do what I just described, take care of all the issues you find, and when you're finished, if the sound or some of the sounds are still there, stop. Because there's a 90% chance that if you continue to look for them, you will never find them. And also a 90% chance that if you keep looking, you will find a rabbit hole or two instead. Yeah, I can almost guarantee that. Now, for those of you determined to continue to search for the source of that noise, there is a 10% chance that you might get lucky, so good luck. Now, don't hire a repair tech to track down furniture noises. Don't do it. Get them to do the maintenance checks I've described for you instead. So rather than saying something like, "My recliner is making this noise that's driving me crazy. Can you fix it?" Instead say, "I've started hearing this clunking sound recently that sounds to me like it's coming from the base or the rocker base. Can you check that out to see if there's anything loose, bent, or worn that needs to be replaced?" This approach has a much better chance of getting you the results you want because you've given the tech something tangible to address rather than search for a sound that may be very difficult to pinpoint or resolve. Now, after the tech has checked out the chair and repaired any issues they could find, try the chair out, preferably with the tech still there. And if the noise is still present, then ask them what they think it might be. After inspecting and working on your chair, they may have some good suggestions for you if you decide you want to go noise hunting, or if you want to pay them to do it. Now, there may be some repair techs out there that have a knack for tracking down noises in your chair and fixing them, or so they may say. So if you're going to hire someone to go noise hunting, which I don't recommend, make sure you set strict ground rules. How much time is the tech going to spend on your furniture? In other words, how much is this going to cost you? And are they guaranteeing results, like completely eliminating the noise or noises? If so, you should get that guarantee in writing, along with the maximum amount you are willing to spend. Otherwise, they may spend hours looking in rabbit holes and billing you for that time. And in the end, they may never find that screwy rabbit.